It all started with one man, George Donner. He and others could leave their humdrum lives in Springfield, Illinois behind with a voyage west, a journey which would lead to disaster for the Donner Party. In the 1840s, many in the U.S. sought to settle in the fertile, almost magical lands of California. Many in the Midwest and East sought to rush to the new lands of the U.S. acquired from Mexico. Guidebooks from early explorers circulated throughout towns. One such guidebook influenced George Donner, a man looking to bring himself and his family to a new, prosperous life in California. George, his brother Jacob, and friends James Reed joined families and departed from Springfield on April 14, 1846. They left with a group of others, and the initial party numbered at around 31 people. On May 12th, the Donners and the Reeds arrived at Independence, Missouri, where they joined the main wagon train headed to California. The party made it to Fort Laramie at a pace of 650 miles in 6 weeks. On July 20th, the company separated from the main wagon train. The bears headed north to Fort Hall, then took the Oregon Trail westward. The Donners, Reeds, and a few others went southwest towards Fort Bridger. The party had voted what path to take. They ended up taking a shortcut provided to George Donner through a guide named Lansford Hastings, with his guidebook mentioning a shortcut to California. Hastings ended up developing a notorious reputation for being unreliable and on many occasions fabricating his journeys. However, the Donners were unaware of this, and they wanted to make it to California before the snows came. The party grew to 89 people, and they elected George Donner as their leader. They went towards the Sierra Nevada, going through the Salt Lake Desert. They lost many cattle in the perilous desert. They were losing the race with the weather, and the party became more exhausted by the day. One day, James Reed and another party member had a knife fight, with Reed fatally stabbing the other man. Reed was sentenced to be hung, but instead he was banished and continued the path on horseback alone. They finally reached the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. They left most of their belongings behind, only bringing the bare essentials as their animals began to die of exhaustion. The party was blocked by a barricade of snow on October 31st. This spot would become known as Donner Pass. From late 1846 to 1847, the Donners were trapped. They quickly ran out of the food they brought with them. The remaining animals wandered off or died. They were starving, and one by one, dying. On Christmas of 1846, in a desperate attempt to stay alive, the remaining party members consumed their first human. On January 31st, 1847, a group of California settlers attempted to rescue the remaining Donner Party members still alive. The brave journeyman managed to rescue 23 people, including 17 children. On the way back down, a few people died. More rescuers tried to make it back up to rescue more, but illness and injury made it impossible to get all of the remaining Donner members. The last survivor of the tragedy, Louis Kesselberg, survived of cannibalism until he was finally rescued on April 21st, 1847. In total, 47 members of the Donner Party survived, leaving 42 dead. The story of the Donner Party became a landmark in history, becoming a cautionary tale for any headed westward, and a telltale example of what happens when the straits become too dire.